In this video, we will learn about what is Nobelium cybersecurity and how it impacts small and large corporations around the world. So, let us start. Before diving into Nobelium threat, let us first understand what is cybersecurity. Cybersecurity is a processes or methods to help strengthen the system, data, network and programs safety around the digital world. This methods makes sure the confidentiality of assets all over the digital world are well protected and away from unauthorized access. The digital world is a very useful but yet vulnerable system, and this methods not only protects your data but also the computer or devices the user use. Because any cyber attack that could occur would also affect not only software but also the hardware. The internet is one of the main factor of how cyberspace works. The cables lies beneath sea level, also dozens of satellites that connects a complex networking all over the world. After the computers are connected, the web do its job, gathering people and also all the data from all across the earth to the websites and are transmitted through to reach the destined destination. The cyberspace, as it constantly getting more bigger, affecting more area and used by a lot of user all over the world, it is becoming very hard to control every users and what they are doing. With a lot of users with a very large amount of information or data splattered, there is always a risk of data breach, data loss, fraud and other risks done by hackers. Especially, now the cyberspace are used for a lot of important businesses, financial or economy, even government and organizations. Which means the risks could be even more alarming, for example identity theft, confidential data breach, financial access, etc. Cyber attacks are done by individual and could also be done by organizations. Usually the hacker would attempt to target another individual, also organizations, to breach their system information to get some benefit. Cyber attack occur pretty often and there are various types of cyber attack that has been happening to people, companies or even organizations. Some of the common types of cyber attacks are malware, phishing, DOS or DDoS, man-in-the-middle or MITM attack and some more. Cybersecurity is divided into multiple subdomains or fields. Mobile security contains threats that are associated with mobile or portable devices like cell phones, iPads, where data is tracked on day-to-day basis by apps without users' knowledge. Network security comprises of large distribution system where cyber threats impacts institutional network by slowing them down. Identity management and data security involves hacking of user password and credentials via physical and non-physical methods. Application comprises threats involves unauthorized use of licenses, intrusion through firewall, hard drive malfunction, commercial unwanted pop-ups, disabling antivirus, running out of storage spaces and so on. Disaster recovery refers to the restoring computer systems and businesses following a devastating incident of data, servers, fires, software and operating systems. User education involves training employers or users on awareness about latest threats and preventions best practices. Cloud computing safety or cloud security, more simply, refers to a wide range of rules, technologies, applications and controls used to safeguard virtualized apps, data, applications, services and related cloud computing infrastructure. Now that we understood the nuts and bolts of cyberspace, let us delve into the what is all fuss about Nobelium cyber threat and how it badly Nobelium threat is affecting corporate world. Nobelium are hacker group. The name was given by Microsoft for the group that has been massively hacking SolarWinds and other US organizations. They have been using information stealing Trojan, mass mailing service and able to distribute phishing emails that contains malicious file. Nobelium also has been affecting at least 24 countries. The attack of this US software and network company that were called a supply chain attack, claimed to be the largest cyber attack. A lot of US government entities was compromised by the intrusion, with a massive range with more than 18,000 customers were exposed to the malicious code. The Trojan horse that was infecting the network was signed backdoor. FireEye, who is a cybersecurity company, discovered a code that went through to the SolarWinds software updates. They estimated that the attack first occurred in March of 2020, where they first gained the access to the SolarWinds. And the breach or the attack happened almost 8 months with huge amount of data breach. Here is the timeline of the attack. The threat actors access the SolarWinds and injects the code and executes it. Currently, major corporations are on high alerts to address the Nobelium threat. Now let us dive into how SolarWinds attack takes place. The cyber attack to SolarWinds is called a supply chain attack. It comprises one of your dependencies and via software. Which means the attack was targeting the IT management software that are used by thousands of companies. The malware comes in a malicious links that are contained with the code and then affecting the user. This attack was also advanced persistent threats or apartment. Here we can see the sunburst restoration timeline. As you can see, on the 14th of December 2020, the major impact is observed from the Nobelium attack. In order to execute attacks like Nobelium, malicious groups deploy skilled hackers that are also called as advanced persistent threats or apartment. Advanced persistent threats or APT means a skilled hackers contains of people that are extremely skilled who are recruited by organizations or even nations to steal data. The data is also not a merely non-essential data that lies unprotected, it is usually a highly confidential or a breakthrough data. They also frequently follow a similar attack pattern, which benefits organizations in detecting their presence and movements. There are various APT stages through which attacks are taken place. The hackers or APT would try to choose and also identify the DAT. And they would try to find whoever has the data or information that they are looking for. To prevent this from happening, and how to detect the threat is to take a double and closer look into the domain name that is owned. The attack usually started BQs of the same or similar domain name that are obtained by the APT for phishing. Initial access is the environment or place where the APT would undergo their espionage on the target to gain an entry access, such as phishing that has such a high success rate at this point. To this problem, what required is a phishing training where people would be able to recognize the phishing emails. The next generation antivirus also would help to detect the advanced malware. When the hackers and APT already gained access to the network, they were given an easy connection to the network, which is called persistence. To detect this problem in the future is to use a whitelisting to filter on your network, so that it only permits what is necessary. The next thing is threat hunting, to look for an abnormal activities. The hackers or APT would explore and try to look for the data they are looking at this stage, so they would try to gain privilege access by changing permission levels or imitate the users. To detect his problem in the future, we need to perform log analysis to assist in identifying any modifications they may make to the environment. These might include things like opening firewall ports on the server, establishing user accounts, modifying group membership, user impersonation through tokens, and a variety of other obvious indicators of an attacker's presence. After they are done looking for the data they had targeted, they would identify the data and send the copy to the desired destination the APT choose. To disguise the data trader, the APT would utilize some kind of encrypted covered data transmission route. APTs can overcome data loss prevention by sending data over encrypted connections. To detect this while happening, threat hunting would also help to detect and prevent the stolen data. It could alert if there is an abnormal data being transferred. The final stage is the cleanup stage. After the data has been transferred, APT would delete any tracks of them like network logs or footprints. The aforementioned graph depicts the APT protection market worldwide revenue. As we can, the growth is exponential. The US has their own cyber strategy for attack prevention for any kind of destructive behavior. The US government termed it more as an espionage attack rather than the cyber attack. There are numerous security prevention measures already taken to avoid such attacks in future. The attack on SolarWinds affected US technology sectors including universities and hospitals. The personal data from those who are affected are breached and exposed. Until now, the damages infrastructure are still undergoing investigation. According to CISA, removing this threat actor from compromised networks would be extremely complicated and difficult for institutions. But the cybersecurity experts are targeting the Russia government for the attack on SolarWinds. The SolarWinds largely impact information technology and government sectors. There are other sectors like hospitals and NGO, however exact damages are still unknown. The email-based attack by Nobelium rely on tool sets which become feature for threat actor for operating high risk. The threat actor property are opportunity to restraint, the use of trusted channels and ambiguity. Nobelium is a threat actor who used to take advantage of temporary payloads infrastructure. Since the attack was about to occur, security community has already identified increasing number of payloads associated with the actor. Some of them include Goldmax, Cybot malware, Goldfinder that are recognized by Microsoft and other like FireEA, Symantec, CrowdStrike, and Volexity. They get the stage payload from downloader that is used to stage payload from a downloader that is used to retrieve a later stage payload via an actor-controlled Dropbox account. The Dropbox API is used for all initial communications, which are encrypted via HTTPS. The other tools that Nobelium used is tools with a design that are reasonable and also possible to choose the targets selectively with the hope of gaining some level of understanding regarding possible detection if the impact is used in unfamiliar network to the threat actor. Boombox, a few versions of Native Zone, and Vapor Rage are some of the tools utilized by Nobelium. The intention is to carry out some type of profiling on the environment of a compromised system. One of the tool that is used to Vapor Rage, which is a shellcode loader that appears as the third stage payload. Vapor Rage can execute, download, and also decode any payload that is in the memory. Such design and deployment technique detain conventional artifacts and forensic investigations, allowing unique payloads to go undetected. Malwares that Nobelium involves are NV-Scout, Nativizo, Boombox and Vapor Rage. NV-Scout is the first malware in a shape of malicious HTML file, and is attached when the threat actors send a spear phishing emails in order to put a malicious ISO on the destined devices or disks. The file is distributed as NV HTML file. This file includes a tracking or URLs for credential harvesting, which helps to write the decoded the ISO file from our embedded JavaScript. Once the ISO image is loaded, Windows displays a shortcut called NV, which runs the hidden boom.x. Tracking and credential harvesting URLs. The attacker is running a credential capture service, such as Responder, at the other end of these transactions. For the first, started with the file skeptical smiley face, protocol handler. Eventually, brute forcing of these credentials may expose them. The malicious attachment is sourced remotely through the second URL, which resolves to the same IP address as the first at the time of analysis. Obscured ISO files. NV-Scout's third part contains a payload written as an encoded blob. This payload is decoded by zonk each letter with a single byte key, resulting in a base 64 payload, which is then decoded and transferred to disk using components number 2 and 4. Boombox is a malicious data downloader named boom.x, which came after the NV file, and would make sure that the NV file from NV-Scout are present in the directory. After gathering information about the infected device or system, the native zone and vapor rage payloads are then downloaded from Dropbox. It then decrypts and executes these payloads in order to begin the next stage of the attack chain. Boombox contains hard-coded value, victim host name, victim domain name, victim IP address, and victim username. Native Zone is another wide variety malware loader with the file name nativecache.svc.dll. Native Zone versions are all malicious DLLs that decode and load a malicious payload from an embedded code buffer configured by Boombox. When launched via run32.x, it will execute the certpki provider.dll malware, which Microsoft has identified as Vapor Rage. Nobelium generated a new Cobalt Strike beacon loader, and there has been the new additional variants identified. The loaders is under the name of Native Zone, that contain decoy export of names and also function, together with the code and string from the legitimate application. It's been divided into two variants of loader. The first variant, encoded, encrypted Cobalt Strike beacon stage shellcode, is included in these loaders. The second variant, all these loaders read an encoded, encrypted Cobalt Strike beacon stage shellcode from a separate file, e.g., an RTF file. After identified by Native Zone, a DLL malware file named certpki provider.dll will be launched. It would register itself as the attacker, and after that it includes methods that Native Zone uses to download, decode, and execute arbitrary shellcode from both the attacker's command and control (CNC) servers. Phishing infection chain start with images as an HTML attachment. The HTML is transferred via various storage transmission mode like ISO image. The image would contain sleet.inc, msk disk mount service.dll, and reply slip.rtf. Nobelium's phishing attack on SolarWinds acts as a reminder for organizations or even businesses to develop appropriate security procedures, such as maintaining the privileged access to the network and developing useful methods capable of responding to and recovering from these types of attacks from happening again. Government is also likely to enforce some basic security upgrades for federal agencies, such as require two-factor data encryption of sensitive data. There are numerous measures that we can take to reduce supply chain attack. These are providing limited administrator accesses, maintaining the notification mechanism in case of abnormal activities, and finally several layers of security for large organizations. If you have any questions related to Nobelium, you can always contact me at contact@researchtech.net. Hope this video was useful. Thanks for watching, and make sure to like and subscribe for more videos.